Hello guys, so I have a fun tag video for you guys today. I've seen a few people do this on BookTube and it looked like so much fun. I definitely wanted to give it a try. Now I was tagged by the lovely and sweet Nell from The Whimsical Reader to do the Get to Know Me BookTube tag, but I felt like it was really similar to the BookTube newbie tag that I just did not too long ago. So I thought instead that I would try to do this anti-TBR tag. Now the original creator of this tag is Nicole from Nicole and Her Books, and I'll be sure to link her in the description box so you guys can check out that video as well. So let's just get right into it because this tag is going to be short, sweet, and fun. Okay, so I'm currently borrowing my boyfriend's phone to look up the questions right now because I'm recording with my iPhone. Question number 1 says, a popular book everyone loves that you have no interest in reading. And for this question, I'm actually going to have to say V.E. Schwab's Shades of Magic series as well as her Villain series. Now, I don't know like a ton about either one, but I do know that neither of them have storylines that I would be particularly interested in reading about. So for Shades of Magic, that's about like magicians that travel through different Londons or something, and I'm not a huge fan of magicians, which may sound weird if you know what other books I have enjoyed reading in the past. It's very specific, the type of like magic I like to read about, and to be honest, magicians and wizards are not like my favorite type of thing to read about. And for her Villain series, it's actually about superheroes, which I think I've said before, but as much as I love superhero movies and shows, I actually do not like reading about superheroes. So yes, I would have to say those two series, as great as I'm sure they are, they just have never appealed to me at all. I just don't see myself ever picking it up in the future. The next question is a classic book or author you don't have an interest in reading. And to be honest, I would probably say all of them. I was really thinking hard about this question and I couldn't even think of one classic book or author that I did want to read, to be honest. I'm not a big fan of classics at all. I think a big reason for that is that I was forced to read so much of it in high school, which is when my love of reading kind of dwindled a lot. And so being forced to read books that seemed really boring to me, I just think that it's kind of traumatized me from it, and so no classical stories sound that interesting to me. Like, I'm trying to think of popular ones like Jane Austen or Fitzgerald, and to be honest, I can't say that any of them sound that appealing, so I think I'm gonna have to say none of them? All of them? What was the question again? I would have to say all of them because I don't really have any interest in reading any classical books. Question number 3 says, an author whose books you have no interest in reading. And again, this is one that I really had to think about because I don't keep like a running list in my head of authors that I actively choose not to read. So I really had to give this one some thought, but I ended up picking Marie Lu for this because although her books are really hyped about and they're loved and they're so popular, all I get from them is that they're very sci-fi, and I don't know, nothing about them has ever drawn me into them. So while I don't really want to say that Marie Lu is like an author I'm like actively avoiding or staying away from or whatever, it's more just I truly have no interest in reading any of her books. The next question is, I feel like the question that probably gets the most blowback for people, but it's a problematic author whose books you have no interest in reading. And part of me wants to say J.K. Rowling, but I feel like she's probably at the top of everybody's list for this question right now. So I was thinking about it some more, and I think I would probably rather say Cassandra Clare, because technically for J.K. Rowling, even though she is extremely problematic and I do not support her in any way, I actually did read the Harry Potter books when I was younger, and so I can't really say that I wouldn't read her works when I already have, even though, you know, I was a kid. But yeah, I would say Cassandra Clare's books because I've heard a lot of, you know, kind of shifty things about her and the way that she treats people, and, you know, I don't know that much about her, so I can't say with like 100% surety that, you know, whatever I've heard about her is true or not. All I know is that this woman seems to have one skill, and that's writing a million books in the Shadowhunter series, and just continues to write more and more books for that singular world in the series, and I have no interest in that. So that only really kind of supports my disinterest in reading any of her books. It sucks because I feel like it's kind of scary to say something like that about someone who's such a huge author in the YA fantasy book scene, but it just has to be said. You will probably never see me pick up a Cassandra Clare book or read any of the Shadowhunter books or anything like that, so Yeah. The next question says, an author you have read a couple of books from and have decided their books are not for you. And for this question, I'd have to say Brigid Kemmerer. She is the one who wrote the A Curse So Dark and Lonely series. And as much as I loved that first book, she absolutely destroyed everything I loved about it in the second book. And from what I've read in the reviews of that book, because I was just scouring the reviews to see why people liked it or if other people agreed with me on my thoughts on the second book, it seems that apparently this is a trademark of Brigid Kemmerer's writing, is she is like a character assassin. So basically when she writes books, she's like known to build up a certain character's backstory and their history and their development just to tear them down later and make it seem completely pointless and irrelevant. Now, I haven't read her other books, so I can't say 100% if that is true or not, but based off of the reviews that I have seen of people who have read her other books, that makes me incredibly annoyed and angry, and I do not have any interest in reading any of her other books. To be honest, I don't even know what other books she does have out. A Curse So Dark and Lonely was the first and only book that I've really ever heard from her works, so I don't feel like I'm missing out on too much. Question number 6 is a genre you have no interest in or a genre you tried to get into and couldn't. And I probably would have to say sci-fi for this one. Now, it's weird because I actually love sci-fi movies and shows. Like, that's a lot of what I watch, but sci-fi books, for some reason, I just can't get into. Now, I'm still pretty open-minded to it. Like, I wouldn't say that I would never try a sci-fi book or that I hate all sci-fi books, because that's absolutely not true. But the idea of reading a sci-fi book is not that appealing to me. I don't even really know why. It's not like sci-fi is boring to me or anything like that. I couldn't give you a real reason as to why I don't enjoy sci-fi. I think it just is not as interesting to me as like fantasy, for example, is. Even though I feel like they're kind of borderline a lot of times. So I don't know, I can't explain it to you. The next question says, a book that you have bought but will never read. And I, in general, don't buy books that I don't plan on reading, so I really had to scour my bookcase for this. But the one that I found was actually a book that I got from Book of the Month. It was one of the earlier months that I was subscribed to them. And the only reason that I got this book was because I really wanted an add-on book. If you guys don't know how their the subscription service works, they curate 5 books that you can pick from as your book of the month. And then you have the choice to add on, I think it's like up to 3 books or whatever, additionally that you pay extra for. And it kind of sucks because you can't choose these additional books as your book of the month. And so because I can't even remember what book it was, but because I wanted this particular additional book, I had to pick a book for that month, and none of the books actually sounded interesting to me that month. So I just picked a random one, and it's The Golden Child by Claire Adam. And I've thought that if I ever do an unhaul or anything like that, that this book would be added to that. But also, I don't know if it would, just because the color is so nice and it's a pretty book. So I don't mind having it. It's pretty small and it's decorative, I guess. And yeah, so I don't really know too much about this book. From what I recall, it's about this child who had a twin or a sibling who was the golden child. They were like favored by their parents and they were like academically successful and they were just like hurrah'd. But I think that child dies or goes missing at some point, and so it's like a mystery or thriller or something. I don't know. Let me just read this real quick. Okay, so I think I got it twisted. Apparently this story is from the perspective of one of the parents. I think his name is Clyde, and he has 2 teenage sons that are twins. They're both 13 years old. One is Paul and one is Peter, and Paul is the one that's considered odd, and Peter is the one that is destined for greatness, and I think Paul is the one that goes missing. So I think it's about like realizations and stuff with this family. I have no idea. I have no interest in reading this. If that sounds interesting to you, maybe check it out. It's a pretty short book, but yeah. The next question says, a series you have no interest in reading or a series you started and have DNF. And I kind of actually answered this in a previous question, so I probably shouldn't have gone so in-depth with that one, but the Shadowhunter series. I don't even know how many books are in that series, but every time I see pictures of people who have the whole thing, it's like this big, it's huge. There's like 12 books or something. I don't really know. Don't ask me about them. I don't know anything about them. All I know is that it's intimidatingly huge. I have actually read what the entire series is about because I was curious about it, and it does not sound at all like something I would be interested in. And I don't know, I don't really have anything else to say about it. I know that the Shadowhunter like fandom is huge, the Cassandra Clare fandom is huge, so please don't come at me if you are a big fan of her. It's just not for me. And then the last question is a new release you have no interest in reading. Now, as I have said before in a previous video, I don't actually keep up with new releases. I have no idea what's coming out this year. So this was an incredibly vague question for me to answer, but the only one that came to mind was A Vow So Bold and Deadly. I think that's what it's called. It's the third book in the A Curse So Dark and Lonely series, which I have mentioned before is by Brigid Kemmerer. And as I mentioned before, you know all the reasons why I have no interest in continuing that series, and in particular reading that book, because I just think it's going to be a complete hot mess that I would not touch with a 10-foot pole. So yeah. Now, when I looked up this book to find out the name of it and when it was coming out, if it was indeed coming out soon, it said that it's the third book in the series, but I don't know if it's actually a trilogy or if it's going to be longer. I hope it's not going to be longer. I mean, I'm obviously not going to read it, so it shouldn't bother me, but because I'm so offended that these books still exist and that they are being released and that people are actually excited for them. Normally, I don't care that much about books like that, but like, honestly, I was so personally offended and hurt by the way that the second book went that now I can't help but take it as like a personal slight to me that these books are just still coming out. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous, but that's how it is for me. Okay, so that was all 9 questions in this anti-TBR tag, and I felt like this tag was perfect for me to do because I don't ever do a TBR because I'm such a mood reader that I know that I can never lock down like a list of books I'm gonna read, because what's the point of that? If I know that I'm not gonna read them because I could change my mind on a whim, then like, what is the point? So I will never do a TBR, and so this tag was really fun and perfect for me. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. It should be quick and short, unlike many of my other videos that I can't ever seem to cut down. I know that this is a tag, so you're obviously supposed to tag other people to do this, but I don't know, I feel like everyone should just do this. Like, it's really fun, and I feel like half the people that I'm subscribed to have already done this. So yes, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will hopefully see you guys next time. Bye.